Hi, welcome to Quad Pod. I'm not quite sure what episode this is now. I think it's 33. But the man who's joined me today was, and I'll be forever thankful to him, is Alan Tonge. Hi, Alan. How are you? You all right?
How are you doing, Al? I can't believe you're at 33 already. Only since yesterday you were sort of saying, do you fancy jumping on the first one and sharing some thoughts? And 33 later, brilliant.
It's absolutely exploded, and I don't think we ever planned to go to weekly, but we have managed to keep it going. And I just want to point out that I've even managed to be down under and still managed to get episodes out weekly, even through the holidays. So I'm going to claim that. Talking of down under, got my shirt on. All right, this is just after the England women have won against Australia. That was always going to be a tough one. And I want to put a little shout out to Giles from Giles Beattie and Ed Beattie, but particularly Giles, who was on the show Aussies Down Under. Extra fan was in the stadium with an extra scarf on and an extra hat because it was so cold, apparently. So. But he came a few episodes behind you. So let's recap. And I'm going to embarrass you. You're a BBC commentator, right? We're doing this just before Carlisle. You're going to be doing Carlisle, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah. I've got Carlisle. I've got Burton coming up, Al, as well in the next couple of weeks. So really looking forward to those. This will be my first summary bit of work of the season. So. Yeah, I can't wait to get back behind that mic and go and watch the Grecians in action.
And the other stuff, for those that might not have seen the first show, and if you haven't, that's unbelievable. Alan, extra player, Alex Ferguson's first signing at Manchester United. We won't go through all that. Have a look through. It's a really good episode, and there's a lot of stuff that comes out of that. But you're also a university lecturer. I'm guessing that it's quite a time for you at the moment at the university.
Yeah, we're just kind of in the downtime at the moment. I'll just sort of doing a bit of prepping and planning for next academic year. So traditionally, in the university calendar, usually quite quiet around end of June, July, August time. So just been doing some bits and pieces and getting ready for the new term that will be happening in about a month or so's time.
So I'm going to put you on the spot because I reckon you've had quite a lot of time to do your research for Carlisle. We'll do a preview of Carlisle later and get your views on that. Right. Let's talk pre-season. But before we do pre-season, a few minutes thoughts on last season, how we finished, the first few months of Mr. Caldwell. I don't think he did a bad job. He was all right, wasn't he?
Done really well. I think very, very hard, Al, following Matt Taylor. Matt Taylor held in a lot of high regard by many people at Exeter. Managed to get us that promotion, didn't he? Which we'd been chasing for a few seasons, getting close, knocking on doors, and we managed to do it. And following Matt in, I think Nico was looking at the job, and one of the coaches, took over. I think he did Barnsley away. I can remember, and had really good credentials, but they decided to bring Gary Caldwell in, and just I think all last year really was about stability, stabilising, making sure that Exeter, they weren't one of them clubs that went straight up and then come straight back down again. We didn't want that. And, managed to find some really good results and, stay in League One. And all we can do, Alice, is, hopefully build from that and just try and creep up League One and maybe try and improve the standings this season and get higher than 14th where we finished last season.
Yeah, and all the things that could have happened, it could have caused, a change of managers. We both know. I can remember 2 or 3 managers in a season extra, I'm sure, once. We did really well. And I particularly noticed that he's actually changed the style of play, hasn't he? Because we've gone from being a little bit more direct, I would say, to be a passing out the back side now, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, like you say, I think you know, new managers come in, and it takes a little bit of time. They bring their own ideas, their own thoughts, their own identity in relation to how they want to play, and you know, it's been quite an interesting few months in relation to incomings, outgoings. There's been a lot of movement in the club. I think we're currently standing at something like 9 players in, 10 have gone, something like that. So, and I think over the last couple of days as well, Al, still mentioning, you know, maybe room for a couple more coming in yet. I think Gary Caldwell's, yes, his scouting team must have been, you know, having a look at pre-season games and monitoring and tracking players, and you know, there might be room for a couple more yet.
And you know what? You're absolutely spot on when you think it was 9 players. It is 9 players, because I thought I'd do a little bit of analysis, and we'll talk about the players out later. But we've had 11 players leave from what I can see. But what really strikes me about the 9 players coming in, and I don't think we'll go through all of them in detail about how they're doing. It's far too early to do that. Would be completely the wrong thing to do. But what strikes me when you say about, for example, Vincent Harper, I put in my notes, solid scouting. It looks like we monitored him when he was down, I think it was down at Eastleigh, and he's come on a small transfer fee, but he's ex-Bristol City youth, and he's now come through. And the other one that struck me was Ryan Trevitt. He obviously went, and I know that he's got connections up at Brentford, but it looks to me as if he was going up there at Christmas and trying to get that one over the line, which is you know, really solid. So, have you seen him play yet?
No, only sort of the highlights at the moment, Al, in relation to the EFL stuff that you see on a Saturday or midweek. So I've been keeping my eye on those. So yeah, looking forward to really seeing him, you know, over the course of 90 minutes and see what he brings to the side. But you know, as you say, there's been some interesting additions, a lot of outgoings, you know, a lot of good players who've left, you know, really talented Grecians that have come through the academy, a few of them. So always sad to see them go, but you know, nice to you know, to see them pushing on. I mean, that's always, I've said this on Radio Devon, it's always the challenge of football that if Exeter are doing well, naturally you're going to get scouts and interest and people putting bids in for players and monitoring them. And you know, and if players are coming to the end of the contracts, you know, traditionally in Football League, the lower you go down the pyramid, unfortunately, contracts are a lot less. So, you know, lads are giving 1 and 2 years as opposed to 5 and 6 years maybe up in the Premier League. So when they're coming to an end of the contract, if they think as though their job's done at Exeter and they're looking to move on onto pastures new, unfortunately, because of the Bosman rule in the free transfer that came in many years ago, there's nothing we can do about it, I'm afraid. That's their decision. And I believe Gary Caldwell probably did try to keep lads like Archie and Josh Key and offered them good contracts, but, you know, agents and interest from other teams, if they manage to get better deals and better terms somewhere else, that's their right as a pro footballer, isn't it?
It is. And it's interesting because I'm going to show our age, I think. All right, because at your time, the Bosman ruling wasn't in place, was it? And have you seen that change quite a lot in terms of like the player power of it? And you're now seeing that actually they can just turn around and go, you know, that's lovely, but thank you very much. I'm going to do this now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? It's all about trying to manage your squad, isn't it, as best as you can. So if you've got somebody on a 2-year contract, for example, you might be looking at them maybe after a year and just say to them, you know, can we extend or can you throw like an option of another year on top of a contract? And, you know, like I say, Al, if lads are looking for progression in their careers or feel they can play higher, you know, that's up to them. And as we know, the more you travel up the league system, League 2, League 1, Championship, the wages can change quite dramatically. And, you know, naturally some clubs, you know, especially in the lower realms, they've got a bit more power and spending ability than others, you know. And I think that's one of the great things about Exeter. I think Exeter, you know, because of the fan homes situation, monitor things a lot more and think about things a lot more instead of being reckless. Because as we know, all over the years, recklessness can get football clubs into trouble.
Very, very much so. And do you know what? I really liked, we go through some of the signings, yeah? I'm going to just do a high-level view from my end. Feel free to add. Vincent Harper, well scouted, did a really solid season in a league slightly below. It needed to step on. His analysis side really good. Reece Cole, that's a really interesting one for me. Dead ball guy. He was at QPR, lost his way. He's taken a bit of a step up. He hasn't looked out of place when I've seen him as dead ball delivery and crossing. It looks really good. Then you've got, since Salo came down, and one of the things that I really picked up from one of the things he said was, I wanted to come to Exeter because we're getting full houses, and I wanted to play in terms of in front of bigger crowds. But also, he'd heard from Ollie Watkins that how us as fans are being, and that's makes a real difference, doesn't it? As a player, I would imagine. You were quite young when you came to Exeter, weren't you? I'm trying to think how old you were. How old were you? Early 20s?
It seems a long time ago, but I was 19 when I came down to Exeter. But yeah, you're right, Al. I think like some really good signings there. I think we've done quite well in the goalkeeper department over the last couple of seasons, haven't we? We've signed some really, really good lads. Like Jockle Anderson did really well for us, didn't he? And then we brought in Cam Dawson. He did really well. Got us our sort of promotion over the line, or helped with that. And then bringing this lad in now from Villa, who's looking to establish himself. Because it's like anything. I think you get to a stage in your career when you're sort of 18, 19, 20, young pro, and you're kind of too good for under 21 sides. You've bypassed the under 18s. You're almost too good for resi sides, and you want to cut your teeth in professional first team football. And that's what the attraction is sometimes. You talk there about is it Ryan? Is it Ryan Trevitt?
Ryan Trevitt.
Yeah, is it come from Brentford?
Yeah, and he's baller, isn't he, with his assist rates and goal scoring by the looks of it.
Yeah, exactly. So he probably won't be wanting to play in like Brentford's B team. He'll want to play in like first team stuff. So there's been some really nice acquisitions here, and I think what I like as well, Al, is there seems to be a massive push on bringing players in with the right values and the right type of people to suit the club. What you don't want to bring in is bad apples into dressing rooms who might cause issues with cohesion and bonding and things like that. So I think, as you said early on, I think these players have been well monitored by Gary Caldwell and his scouting team, which is really good to hear.
And I know we could go through all of them. Zach Jules, big lad, baller. Tom Carroll, Spurs experience, baller, as in likes playing the ball. There's a theme coming through here. Ryan Trevitt, baller. Dean Rankin, obscene pace, great feet, a few tricks. Will hone his end product, I'm sure. Jack Aitson, again, he can play. And I'm going to mention one guy who's like a new signing, Kyle Taylor. It's great to see him back in. And I saw him in a leg frame at the park about 9 months ago, and he looked really down, right? He's been a good signing this season. Have you seen did you see his goal that he scored?
Yeah, so I caught up with that. That was against, was that Crawley, wasn't it? In the, was it the Carabao Cup on the Tuesday night? Right. But yeah, I was commentating on the game that Kyle Taylor unfortunately did his injury. Oldham Athletic away. And one of them situations again where it looks innocuous. It doesn't look anything to it, but it proved to be a really serious injury. And as you say, that can really knock a player back. It took quite a long time for him to regain full fitness. Lots of isolation, lots of training on your own or working with the physios, to get you back to that level. And, to see a player come back and score and get back into the first team fold is like, they'll always have my respect, because I know how tough it is to try and get back from serious stuff. And, it's a really difficult path that you're on. So, massive kudos to Kyle Taylor and all the physio side of Exeter, all the medics and people that have helped in the coaching staff, and absolutely fantastic to see him back in the fold.
Yeah, no, amen to that. And it's you can't be underestimated. And let's not lose sight. I think that we've got about 7 youngsters all signed on contracts, and no particular order. Mr. Borges, Ed James, Beard Small, Sonny Cox, Harrison King, etc., all coming through. And obviously Mr. Billington, we wish he gets back to fitness as soon as possible, because that didn't look very good, his injury. So they're the players in, right? Players out. We lost, and you're doing Burton, so I hope you get in Exeter B team when you're up there as a little joke to me, please, because we've got Jacob Priest, Kez Chalke, Jamal Blackman have all gone to Burton, I believe. And I did see Jacob Priest play at Brackley Town, and he was a little bit surprised to see me. That was funny. Then we lost Giovanni Brown. That's a shame. I'm not going to comment on Giovanni. It is what it is. Josh Key, Archie Collins, like you say, they just wanted to better themselves, didn't they?
Yeah, some really talented names there, Alan, that have moved on from Exeter. Jamal Blackman, big keeper, did well for us. Josh Key, did really well, come through the youth teams and established himself in that kind of right wing back role. A little Archie Collins, for his age, over 200 appearances for sort of 21, 22-year-old is outstanding, really. Another lad who came through the academy. And, it's like you say, it's sad to see lads of the calibre move on, but, as we know, football doesn't stand still. New players have come in with their opportunities now to try and shine and take the sort of the first team onto another level, and see how far they can get up League One.
And I'm going to mention Jack Sparks now, that he had to get the assist for the goal yesterday at Portsmouth, but that's besides the point. But I wish Jack all the best. But I found interesting about it is I don't think he fitted into the structure that Gary wanted to play, so that's why he didn't sort of fit into the jigsaw puzzle, which it's a bit of a shame really there. And then looking at the others, Kevin McDonald clearly wanted to be close to home. Yeah. Because he moved up to Bradford, didn't he?
Yeah, again, an experienced pro, wasn't he? Like a sort of an old head, and you need those in your squad. And unfortunately, I think I read somewhere Gary Corwell tried to get Kevin McDonald to sign another deal, but I think he said he was looking to maybe head up north a little bit. I think, did he say he's moved on to Bradford City and secured a deal with them? So
yes, so he's gone down.
I think his like-for-like replacement has been Tom Carroll, hasn't it? Like sort of a baller, can keep play moving, good passer of the ball, can spot runs from the sort of front 2 or 3. So I think that's been a like-for-like signing that he's brought in there. Obviously, Tom Carroll's got a bit of Premier League experience with Tottenham.
Say it quietly, I think a lot of people are thinking he's more than a replacement, shall we say. So, sorry, Kevin, but it is what it is. So, no, another player I'm not going to say is out. I'm desperately hoping he signs before the window closes, but I know it's not going to happen. Mr. Stansfield, we'd love that to happen. So, but we know where we are there. He's probably going to get in the Fulham team, isn't he?
He's knocking on the door, isn't he? I was watching a couple of the pre-season games. I think he's been in America, Jay, hasn't he, with the Fulham lads, and watching him in action. He's knocking on the door. Really talented player, like I say, a fairy tale of a story. Magnificent to see him come and play for the Grecians and do fantastically well. And that'd be a dream come true if Fulham are not using Jay in the first team squad, or he's struggling to break through. Let's get him in for another long, get him active, get him playing, and keep knocking those goals and keep that confidence up. But yeah, it's going to be tough because other teams now have seen what he can do, so they'll be interested in Al as well, won't they? If there's a loan situation, like teams in the Championship or maybe the lower end of the Premier League, I'm sure will be looking at Jay Stansfield.
Yeah, no, it is what it is. Interestingly, next player, Joe White. My son and I saw him on that Newcastle Sky show, and he's out in Riyadh at the Sheikh's house in the background. So I would imagine he's staying at Newcastle. And then we've got Raheem Harper. Sorry, he also went to Burton, and he was captain in a pre-season friendly. Just to share, I saw him play at Brackley Town for half a game, and he was the captain. So make sure you've got that in your notes when you do that.
Yeah.
So players out. I've done a few calculations and guesses, a little bit of guesswork, right? Transfer window has been fairly lucrative, I think, to Exeter this time. So just go with this, right? I think we've got the Joel Randall money, one tranche, 250,000. We've got Leeds United, circa $1 million. We've got a little bit of loan money from Kwame Ampadu. It's 20% of 1.5 million euros at Spezia. It's about 270 grand, I reckon. 800k for Archie Collins. And then the one that hasn't come through but is looking likely is Matt Grimes. So I calculate we could have made about 2.3 million at the transfer window. Say it quietly. Don't anybody from other clubs listen to what we're saying right now. But as we all know, we only spend 33% of that goes into playing budget. That's an incredible amount of money, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like you say, I think the great thing about modern footballing is now that a lot of players get they work in sort of adages into the contract, don't they? So they don't, if you've got a player who's really good, and he sorts a deal out with someone else, we can still work in sell-on clauses and stuff like that, and it can be very lucrative. If a player moves a couple of times or plays a certain amount of games in the first team at another club, and we get a percentage and add-ons and stuff like that. Like, as you say, it can add up to quite a lot of money. And the thing with that, Al, is it stabilises, it keeps the club very healthy from a financial perspective, doesn't it? It keeps them with brilliant foundations to keep building upon. But you'll know more than me, Al, in relation to what plans are in place maybe for St James's. Will they ever look to develop that further? In the corner bit there where it's missing. I know the training ground facility is absolutely brilliant now, isn't it? So, Exeter, really good shape at the moment, and I just hope it keeps going and keep building on that, and and hopefully give the fans what they deserve. I think it's an absolutely brilliant club with some absolutely brilliant people in there.
And you've touched on a subject which I'm not sure you're aware of, but on the forums, the old stadium expansion adjustment thing is huge at the moment, absolutely huge, and everybody's got an opinion. Everybody thinks they know the right answer. Clearly, people will be missing information, etc. But what's really important to see was we lost 5 or 6 games on the trot, and we sold out Forest Green last game of last season. That was a huge statement. We've sold out the first game pretty much. Reading are going to sell out their allocation. I've seen on social media today for their game on the 26th. I'm pretty sure if the away team is sold out, we'll sell out. So because Reading are going quite well. Like you say, it becomes a bit of a important priority. But I'm not going to get involved in any of the discussion of that at the moment. I'll let everybody else work on that. But you're right. The training ground's done now, isn't it? Yeah, I don't think we need to do any more down there, do we, at the moment?
Fantastic. And I think it's been something that's probably been spoke about for a while, hasn't it? Upgrading the facilities there. And, Matt Taylor spoke about it. And, Gary Caldwell's managed to sort of see the fruits of that development. And it can only be good in relation to attracting players when you're showing them around that facility. And this is the training area, things like that. Absolutely brilliant. And I think I read how they're doing some tours, aren't they, at the moment? Are they showing some of the fans around if they want to go and have a look at it and things like that? That sounds really exciting.
they've invited people down there that have sponsored bricks, and I'm one of those people, and I'm going to try and work out how to get there. But yeah, they are doing tours, and I think that should be something that continues. And do you know what? It will help bond us as a club, because the more connected we are, and we are connected, and we should never lose sight of all the great things that are going on. For example, Pompey last night, we lose 1-0, right? I can tell you pretty much 98-99% of the Exeter fans stayed and applauded the team, and supported them. We know that certain players made mistakes in the game or things happened, but I could see Portsmouth fans leaving with 5 minutes to go, 10 minutes to go. The Exeter fans weren't doing that. So there is that connection. Long may it continue. Right, the people who listen this far, right, we're almost at Carlisle United away, all right, which I'm coming up on the train. So if you're listening to this, because it's going to go out fairly quickly, Alan, preview of Carlisle. What do we know? Now, I know Eric Kinder's left. I think he's left. Could you confirm that? Do you know? There is.
Yeah, I think
manager.
I think that's right. He worked for Exeter for a spell, didn't he? And then went up to Carlisle, and I think he had him I think he was the manager up there for a spell, and then certainly as a working under, is it Paul Simpson's there at the moment, isn't he? So, but yeah. I think he moved on. He moved on to I think he's gone working in the Indian Premier League for I think it's a team like Bangalore or something like that. So I don't know whether that was maybe a lucrative move for him. Maybe been offered some really good money and some good wages out there. I know global football at the moment seems to be absolutely mad, doesn't it? Some of the wages that are getting offered, especially in places like Saudi Arabia. I've been dusting my boots down and seeing if they'd be interested in taking a 51-year-old out there maybe for a season.
Can I just say, can I have first dibs on the Rolex if you get man of the match?
yeah, brilliant. I know, it's incredible, isn't it? Oh, incredible.
It's a different world, isn't it? So, another connection. Jockle Anderson's up there, isn't he? He's joined on loan and extended his contract at Reading after his third stint at Exeter. So yeah. I'm not sure whether he's playing or backup. Do you know, perchance?
Yeah. I'm not too sure. They've had a lad called, is it Thomas Hawley or something in the goal, Carlisle, for the last couple of games. I've been having a look at some of the systems that they've been playing and some of the personnel that they've been using. But I think maybe at this moment in time, it sounds like Jockle's up there as like maybe coverall, I think, more than I'd probably expect the other lad to start on Saturday as opposed to Anderson.
Okay. And you've touched on styles of playing, tactics that they may deploy. I'm rubbish in that area, I freely admit it, although I can work it out in a game. Right? What do you think they're going to play then up there, in your mind?
So maybe similar to us, yeah. Look, maybe last couple of games it'd be like free fight, like flooding the midfield, three at the back. Like we've done with Alex Partridge, Will Amerson, and Piers Sweeney. They play like a three at the back as well, 5 across the midfield, and a couple up front, so like 3-5-2. So whether they go with that at home, we'll have to see. So it'll be evenly matched up then, because if they've got kind of 2 wing backs, we might have 2 wing backs in possibly Dion Rankin, or Zach Jules might play again on the left-hand side. So yeah, it should be a decent contest, and we'll just have to wait and see. Let's hope it's the same result as last year. I think we got a 1-0 win, didn't we, on our road to the title? I think it was Padraig Amon scored after about 87 minutes to make it 1-0. The Grecians went berserk. Radio Devon got cut off, unfortunately, because somebody kicked the wire out. I don't know how that happened.
Brilliant.
So, let's hope we can repeat that result.
And by the way, that was the moment I think we all realised that perhaps we were going up. I think that was the turning point game where people thought, we're winning here, we can do this. So they've come up, they've played 4 games, all right? They lost to Harrogate 1-0 in the Carabao Cup, I think they call it now, or Rumbelows, show my age. They drew with Wigan 1-1, which is a good result. Wigan had 1,300 up there at the weekend, I believe. They lost 1-0 to Oxford away. It's always going to be a bit of a hard game. And they drew with Fleetwood, I believe. So they haven't won yet. And they've had a couple of, well, the Carabao Cup would have been a disappointing defeat, that, I would imagine. Losing to Harrogate.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Also, a bit of mixed form to kick off with. They've not really got going yet. I think it's always tricky when teams come up, as we said earlier in the pod. You know, we've got, I think, a couple of the teams who come up last season. Who did we have? We had Leyton Orient, didn't we? We had Northampton, I think it was. Carlisle got up via the playoffs. And I think also one team that's probably punching above the weight at the moment is Stevenage. So they've played 3-1 so far in the league. They were a team that got promoted as well. And they've started off really well. So, but a couple of the teams who kind of come out of League Two are just finding the feet at the moment, just a bit of patchy form.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. And there's been some interesting stuff, by the way, at Carlisle. We're not going to go into the detail for legal reasons, but there's been some issues with missiles and stuff going on, and they stopped selling tickets for games or something. So, and they had almost 10,000 at one of the games. So I know that our Cumbrian friends can be a bit lively when they want to be, but I'm pretty comfortable that there's a really good relationship between the fans. I think there's a real mutual respect for how far we have to travel each way for the games. But it seems they've been giving people a warm welcome in the first couple of matches. So don't know what they've been doing. Looking at the players in, I'm going to ask whether you know any of these, right? They've had a guy called Back, I think, unless I've read that wrong, who's back from Forest. They've signed a player on a free agent from Blackburn called Dan Butterworth, forward. They've signed Ben Barkley, who was ex-Stockport, and he was on loan with them apparently last year, and apparently didn't play in the playoff game or something. And then they've extended contracts to two midfielders, young midfielders, I guess, which is a real positive for them. And then they signed Sam Lavelle, forward from Charlton. So a bit of a mixed bag. Some older players there and some players that played last year. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's similar to Exeter, really, just trying to establish a bit of unity at the moment, maybe a bit of cohesion in Paul Simpson's squad. As you say, probably like us, doing a bit of scouting, a bit of wheeling and dealing, see if he can bring some players in, which he has. You know, players with maybe a bit of pedigree. You know, Blackburn Rovers obviously being a championship side, and you know, just trying to scoop a few lads who could bring a bit of value into his starting 11. So yeah, you know, like many teams at this start of the season, I think he's just trying to get his formula right, isn't he, and try and get some results on the board and try and get off to a good start. And it's like, as we know, Al, you know, if you can get a few wins early on in your sort of your journey, it kicks you off, doesn't it? If you're scratching for points early on, and you know, almost that mentality sets in where it's like, oh, this is going to be a long season. But you know, I think getting a few wins on the board early gets you moving again, doesn't it? Gets the confidence in the squad up. So yeah, like you say, they've not won yet, but they've had a couple of reasonable results. As you say, like did you say draw against Wigan Athletic? That's not too bad, is it?
Yeah, Fleetwood. Sorry, not Hartlepool. Fleetwood.
So I watched Fleetwood last night. I went to the Bolton Fleetwood game, and I thought Fleetwood did all right actually. I know it finished 3-1 in the end for Bolton were 3-0 up at half time, and you know, Fleetwood had a few good chances. A couple of standout players for them that were quite good were a lad called Josh Vella. He was pretty useful. I think he's had a decent pedigree. I think he used to be a Bolton player actually. But you know, the lad really who stood out at Bolton was their centre forward called Adibaye Jo. I think they bringing in that theme of Burton again, Ali. They got him from Burton last season and had to pay for, I think it was in the region of 500,000 for him, something like that. So a lot of money.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
And And Bolton have sold a massive amount of season tickets, haven't they? Am I right in thinking they've sold 18,000, something like that?
Yeah, it's a kind of a big club really, and one of them's probably that you could argue that they are bigger than League One, but it's you could say the same for a few teams. Bradford City in League Two, they've been struggling for a bit, and they get 18,000, 20,000 watching their games. So, but like Bolton, I think this season must fancy themselves a lot. They've managed to maintain quite a lot of the squad, and played 3, won 3, only conceded 1 goal so far. So they're setting down a marker, and I'm pretty convinced that they probably are going to be bang up there challenging for promotion.
Okay, and that brings me on very nicely. I was going to put you on the spot and have a bit of fun, actually, because we'll hopefully review things later on in the season as we get a chance. Your potential top 3 or 4 teams off the top of your head for the league?
Yeah, so obviously, as mentioned, go with Bolton up there. I think they'll be sort of right in amongst it. I think Peterborough look all right, don't they? Just there was knocking on the door last season. Where I can't believe they didn't get through that semi-final against Sheffield Wednesday after being 4-0 up in the first leg. And Sheffield Wednesday managed to turn it around, and that was incredible. So I think Peterborough will be challenging. An old teammate of mine's manager there at the moment, Darren Ferguson. He was apprentice with me at United. So it's it's good to see him doing okay, and a couple of old Grecians there as well, aren't they? Joel Randall's there, isn't he? And
Joel Randall seems to have got over his injury, hasn't he? Because he's in the first team and he's scoring goals as well, I've seen. So that's really
good to see.
And sorry, you mentioned Archie Collins as well. He's looking at the lineups. He's played every game so far this season as well.
Yeah, but a quality footballer. The thing with Archie is he's one of them good. He's one of them players that kind of goes a little bit unnoticed, but he does a really effective job. He just keeps the play moving. Doesn't overcomplicate things. Doesn't give the ball away very much, and a nice player to have in your starting 11.
Yeah, and who do you think is going to struggle then at this point from what you've seen?
Yeah, probably traditionally, the teams that have come up from League Two usually sort of struggle a little bit. I think we mentioned a little bit earlier there. So maybe Northampton or Orient have not kind of set the world alight just yet. So I think Orient won League Two last year, didn't they? And Northampton's a bit surprised at the couple of the teams that are sort of coughing and spluttering at the moment. Derby County, I thought they'd been nailed on to be challenging, but I think Oxford turned them over last night, didn't they? Was it 2-1 in the end? So that was a bit of a shock. So
I missed the scores last night. I was driving home, but I know they haven't started well. And Barnsley have lost one as well. They're another team that, but again, it's early days yet, isn't it? It's very early days.
So Barnsley got to the playoff final, didn't they, at the end of the season? Was it Sheffield Wednesday that they played at Wembley? Sheffield Wednesday did him late, didn't they? Was it a Josh Windass header, wasn't it? About really late on in the game.
That's right. And his dad is still in the away end, apparently, early this season, watching games, which I thought was quite sweet and quite cute. So, and he's a bit of an idol up there as well, isn't he? So, all right, score prediction for Carlisle, Exeter. What do you reckon?
Well, I think we've nothing to fear. I think Carlisle have had a bit of a scratchy start, and I think Exeter have done okay. A bit of a mixed bag. Won 1, drawn 1, lost 1. Although reading some of the comments, you'll know more than me because you were there. You saw the 90 minutes. I think Exeter maybe could have salvaged a point right at the death. I think Pierce Sweeney had a kind of a last gasp header, didn't he, that the keeper managed to get something on and it deflected wide. And
people talk about progress. We lost 2-0 last year, I think. I'll get corrected. I know I will. So we lost 1-0 this year. It sounds a weird thing to say, but we had the Will Amison header. We had the Dion Rankin miscued shot, I think we'll call it. Pierce Sweeney, the keeper save was incredible. We had our chances. We certainly weren't letting ourselves down. And you could tell by the Portsmouth fans, they saw it as a good result beating Exeter. So, and that is progress, because there's been times when we've gone to Portsmouth and, you know, we've been expecting to, you know, take a beating. But it's not the case anymore. So hopefully we'll get one of those easier games at some point and we can get ourselves in the place we want to be. So, but yeah, Portsmouth wasn't too bad. So your plans for Saturday? What does it commentator? What time do you arrive? What do you do? What has it worked for?
Just before I move on, so I think I'll go for throw the scoring, because I don't think we've mentioned it. I'll go for a 2-0 Exeter win. To do the business, yeah. So we'll throw that in the mix and see how they get on. But yeah, my predictions ain't the best, to be honest with you. Like never usually get them right. So it won't be surprised if it's 3-3 or something like that. Or yeah, we'll see. But I'll go with 2-0. But yeah, so what I'll probably do on Saturday, I've got to pick up my the main commentator, Ant Waring. So I'll be picking Anthony up on the journey. Anthony lives in Preston, so I'll pick him up going up the M6. And then I'll probably look to get there maybe about 12:30, 1:15, something like that.
Yeah.
I think Radio Devon Sport comes online about 1 o'clock, but I don't think the sport starts till 2 o'clock. So we'll get settled in, make sure everything's okay and all the equipment's working and stuff like that. Hopefully catch up with a couple of the old Exeter lads. I know Kevin Miller is the goalkeeping coach now, so it'll be nice to see Kev again and say hello to him. So that'll be kind of set us up then, ready for the sort of the commentary from 2 o'clock onwards. And so yeah, looking forward to it, Alan. Like I say, it's my first game of the season, and I hope I can bring the Grecians some luck.
Well, I'm there with you, assuming that Network Rail and the rail system works. I've never taken a train to Carlisle before, so it's a bit of an adventure. So I'm setting off at 8:20, I believe, from Milton Keynes, and it gets me there about 12 o'clock. And then I've got 50 minutes after the game to get back. Fingers crossed I could be home by about 11 o'clock, which is unheard of, because normally if you come back from Carlisle, you're talking about getting home at 2 o'clock in the morning. So, look, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. And if people are listening, right, please have a look out for Alan, because he sometimes pops into the Way End area. As I say, really appreciate you coming on. You come back in maybe 10, 12 games or so and see where we are.
Of course I will. No problem at all. Thanks for inviting me on. It's a privilege and honour to come on and speak about the Grecians. You know, the club's doing really well at the moment. Just hopefully we can have a really good season and maybe get Gary Caldwell and the lads up there challenging. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? On the verge of the playoffs, or maybe in the playoffs or something. That'd be absolutely brilliant.
That's right. New centre forward to support the guys that we've got, complement them, not to take over. Maybe another strong defensive midfielder, and we could be not far away, in my opinion. So, but thanks for coming on. Right, I'm going to do something a little bit weird at this point. I'm going to dedicate the show. I'm not going to say who it is. I hope he's listening, right? Because it might be the last podcast he listens to, I'm afraid. But it's a bit of a sad one. A very good friend of mine's father is poorly at the moment. He saw the game at Exeter at the weekend, and thoughts are with you. So I know you'll understand me doing that. Up the city. See you Saturday, yeah?
Cheers, Al. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
No problem at all.